Welcome, everyone, to this evening's Finance Committee meeting, January 28th, 2025, at 6. We'll begin with a roll call, starting at my left. Don?
Yeah, here.
Joe Ponzetti?
Shelley Brooks.
Dan Urumian.
Janet Gilmore.
Okay, a quorum being present, I call the meeting to order. In our audience this evening, we have our two select persons, Mary Hoffman, Roger Hicks. Roger will be presenting. And we have Bennett Flinter, their assistant to the select board. And of course, we have our Saco River broadcasting team. First call of duty is to approve the minutes of our last meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Just the only other item I have for discussion was, I need a little more clarification on, it was the Salmon Falls Library. It's item 0800. And the way the last part of the paragraph reads, and it's talking about the $50,000 that was in the warrant for maintenance of the building and repair work. It states that this amount of money will be carried forward, approximately $45,000 to the next year, but not on the budget. That money has been allocated to spend on improvements and would not remain if it was spent prior to 2025. I'm thinking that means it has to be spent by the end of June. I'm not sure what that sentence means.
Okay. So what it means is that if we do not spend it by the end of June 2025, we can carry it forward to use in anticipated repairs to the building.
So we can carry the balance of that 50,000 to 45,000 in the next year for those what it was anticipated to pay for those repairs. It wouldn't go to the just general budget of the library, correct?
No,
Okay.
it's
a
separate line item under capital improvements.
So we're not going to lose that money that was allocated for maintenance and repair
No,
if we don't use it by the end of June.
correct.
Okay.
It just moves on. It just rolls over.
Okay, fine, thank you. I just wanted to have that clarified. I have no issue with the minutes of the meeting. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. We accept the minutes as presented. Old business. Roger, do we want to go through the breakdown of the insurance and benefits?
I hope I sent what you were looking for was the benefit worksheet that I sent you under 100. It was the select board admin 2526. Is that what you were looking for? Because that gives you the breakdown of the anticipated cost of the manager, the select board, the administrative assistant, and then it gets into FICA. It gets into the medical dental benefits. It should be this worksheet here that I sent to you.
Don, I believe you're the one that had brought that question up. Is this what you were looking for?
Yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for, and I see that you've done it for each department as
Yes.
we go through our pile here. So at the end of the day, will you be putting all of those together as one lump article in the warrant? The total cost of these
Well,
things?
you have your admin under 100. Your FICA falls under 1,600. Your insurance falls under 1,300. And your retirement falls under 1,400. So you wanted to see what the cost was of each one. So I took each one out of their individual budget lines, and I put it into this worksheet for you.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. What I'm trying to accomplish is that the voting public gets an opportunity to see what they're paying for all of these different departments for benefits, and there's no way for them to see that the way that we're doing it. I mean, the general public's got no idea, other than they're gonna vote on whatever you put in the article. They really don't know where the money's going. I suppose that's our job here, and they could watch it on TV, but they're not even gonna see this, are they? Or you got it up there
Yeah.
now, that's good. I just think it's important that we be transparent
Right.
about what our benefits, wages, and all the other things are costing the taxpayer. So I didn't know, but maybe you're gonna lump them all together and put them in as one article.
Well, they actually do go into one article. I didn't, but it's just totals. Like administration costs this much, and then you get down to your other ones like FICA under 1,600, it costs this much for that line. Then when you get into insurance, that's under 1,300. They're all in the same grouping, but they're individual costs. But I see what you're talking about. In doing that, I would have to rewrite the sheets that I give you on each budget.
Could you not, could you not at the end of your article, your warrant articles, could you not put a footnote at the very end? This is the total cost of all benefits for town employees? Just as a footnote?
On the warrant itself? Is
Yeah.
that what you're looking for?
Not as a voting article, but just something in there, a footnote at the end of all of the articles on the warrant, that there could be a footnote that said, this is the cost of wage and benefits for the town.
Okay,
I mean, you're talking about quite a lot of money. I mean, each one of these is over $100,000, every one of
yes,
them.
it is.
So this, I mean, the voting public doesn't have any idea what they're voting for.
Yeah, I'm just trying to accomplish what you're asking for.
Yeah, okay, all right, well, we need to think about that then, maybe.
Yeah,
Still got
and,
time.
and this was a start for you
Yeah,
on
this is
these
good.
worksheets.
Very
is
helpful.
I'm trying to be, like you said, as transparent as possible and show you.
Right.
This is what it will cost for administration overall at the bottom,
And that's what I'd like the public to see.
including the benefits.
Because you're gonna have one of these for the fire department when they come on board, right?
The fire department, I'm hoping will, well, when we talk about the next meetings and things.
All right, thank you. You know what my concerns are, so thank you.
Yes, I do. And that's, I'm trying to work to accomplish what you're asking for.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item. We have two items that were left on the table at the last meeting. Assessing was one of those budget items, and the other was general assistance. Those two items were previously tabled, so in order for us to discuss them, we must take them from the table. And I'm looking for a motion that we take the assessing and general assistance, a motion to take them from the table.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded, we're ready for discussion. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Roger? We tabled these two last time for
That
different
is,
reasons.
that's correct. So when you tabled it, I went back and I reworked the assessing budget itself, and I actually decreased it. Now it's 81,800. And what I did is I went back and I looked at the wage line.
Mhm.
I figured the amount of hours that we have between the select board, the two assessors right now, and two clerical staff that works that. And I figured in an amount of hours needed for that. And I dropped it from 32,000 to 15,000.
So the total budget went from 108,800 to 81,800.
Right, and I made a mistake that Janet had picked up on. It should have been 98. And once I reworked the budget, that's where it came to. I did, under outside services, I added $2,000 this year. So it went from 48,000 to 50,000 for outside services, which we hired the O'Donnells for us, for assessing. And they've been doing a real great job for us, finding everything and bringing it up to date. Actually, they're working right now to bring our tax maps up to 2024. And then once we get that, we send the maps to CIA and they put them on the website for us. So,
Okay, are we satisfied with that explanation? Janet, I think you were the one that brought that.
Well, there's just a
For
math error,
discussion
that's
last
all,
time.
but I'm okay with the reduction to the,
Okay.
of the
Yep.
12,000.
Anybody want to make a motion to approve it?
Make a motion to approve the assessor's budget for 25-26 year.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
all right.
The next item that we tabled was for the
Leave the
general
old one.
assistance.
Is the old
Oh,
one?
no,
No, it's, the GA is the old one, it wasn't the one I updated. So on the GA one, we need to table it again because I had updated it and I didn't look at the packet before we made the packet and it's still the old one, so can we table it till next meeting, please?
Sure. Well, I
I had figured it all out and it's beautiful, beautiful table, you'll love it.
Okay. So
But
do you
is-
want to table it for the next, continue to table it to the next meeting?
Yeah, see the one, which one do you have, Janet? You have the old one. Yeah,
The old
she's
one
got
and the
old
new one look exactly the same to me.
No. So we'll table it till the next meeting.
Okay.
Thanks. Or the one she has up.
You need a motion for that?
Yes, we do.
I'll make a motion to table general assistance budget.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll table that until next meeting. All right, Roger, we're ready to go on all your new budgets, starting with treasurer.
Excuse me. Okay, treasurer, again, I did a worksheet for you. You should have it in your packet. It shows you the same thing. It shows the treasurer and the deputy. The difference in this year is the deputy is gonna show half her salary between her and the tax collector. Because we have the other position that we added in the clerk's office for deputy registrar of voters. So we kind of moved the numbers around. Basically, the increases are going to be in the salaries, the 3% that we voted in. And it went up, it shows that it went up, but then again, it's the half of the deputy treasurer, deputy tax collector between those two. That's why the budget looks like it went up. So other than that, there was a couple lines that went up and a couple that went down, but that's what the increase is the salary increase.
Okay, do we have a motion to, sorry, do we have a motion to accept the treasurer's budget?
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's budget.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have any further discussion?
Question.
Sure, Don?
So the department heads present their budgets to the select board before they're brought to us?
Yes,
So you have had input on this budget?
yes.
Haven't we had the department heads here in the past to present their own budget?
We could do that if you
No,
wish.
haven't we in the past?
I believe we might have.
Well, the clerk usually shows up and goes over, reviews her budget plus for voting.
Elections.
But I don't know that we've had others.
I can remember in the past, I had department heads here presenting their budget,
Probably
probably as a
isn't-
fire department, and
I
Well,
don't
certainly the
believe
fire
last year
department
when
does.
I presented that I had them, but if you request them, I can have.
I think usually in the past when we've had them present was because they had an objection to what we were doing or wanted more or wanted something's changed. So usually they come to present that they want more for the deputy or they wanted more than we're offering for an increase.
so this indicates that you're in agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All I want to know.
Okay, the next item, town clerk. As I said that,
So
the town
is
clerk.
that
We
an
need to vote
appro-
on that.
Oh, I'm sorry, did we not vote on that?
No.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor of accepting the treasurer's budget?
Right.
Passes. Okay, the next item, town clerk.
Give me a second. Okay. Is that one, town clerk? Okay, again, it shows an increase, but we've added the deputy, which is the deputy register of voters. I put it under the clerk because it was easier for me to show you the exact numbers on the benefit worksheet that I presented to you. The new deputy that we have there, that's a full, it's under the town clerk, and it's part of elections too, so she's the deputy registrar of voters. And we're finding that we added this position because we're all getting older in town hall. And anticipating things happening, and unfortunately, things happened. So this is a backup plan in case they're needed in the other parts of the building, which could be tax collector, clerk, or the treasurer's office. Right now, Faith is trained in all three positions, but we felt that it would be necessary to have one more person. So we brought her on part-time, and now this is the full-time position for the 25-26. So that's
Okay,
the
do-
increases, is basically wages. Most of the other line items stayed the same.
Do we have a motion to accept the budget for the town clerk?
I make a motion to accept the town clerk budget. Second.
Second, do we have any discussion? Don, do you have an issue?
So, no, I don't have an issue, but I have a question about the deputy. Is the deputy a full-time person?
Yes.
Why the discrepancy between the half-time position of 20,000 and a full-time position of 28,000? What's the reason for that? Comparing it to the previous budget that we just looked at, where it shows a half a deputy's position at 19,686.
Right, so that was the prior position with our, I try not to use names, but that was the other person. It used to be a third, and a third split between them. So I took that person's position, split it in half, and put it between the treasurer and the tax collector. And then this budget here absorbed the other person. So that's a full, it's not split between the others.
So two halves make a full.
Right.
That's 40,000. And
That's,
then we have another one, that's which is separate. We have another one that it's the clerk's deputy for 28,000. Why there's such a discrepancy?
because the town clerk is taking that one position, and the other one is split between the tax collector and the treasurer.
I understand that.
It's
But you're
in-
paying that one that's split, you're paying that person $40,000 a year for a full-time position. If you add those two halves together, it's 40,000.
It's
And then this is a $28,000.
closer to 38 something. 39, yep.
So I think part of the deputy you're talking about right now with the town clerk is also under elections, right? Part of her
Right.
budget? So part of her budget is under elections because she's the deputy of registrar?
It's deputy register of,
So part of her salary that's
Okay.
not reflected on this will be reflected on the next budget.
Okay, that's exactly what I was looking for, thank you.
Thanks.
and a new person, Don, doesn't make what
Right, I
the other
understand that.
person's making, so.
Yeah. Okay, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the budget for the clerk?
You already had a motion.
I mean, do we have do we have a vote? All those in favor? Passes.
Yep.
Okay, we're on to elections.
Okay. Elections, just a small increase, and that basically falls under the wages again for all the poll workers, registrar, deputy registers, moderator, and all the poll workers. The remainder of the line items are basically the same as the year before, with the exception of wages.
I'll make a motion to approve the election budget.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any more discussion? All those in favor of approving the elections budget, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Tax collector.
I just asked a question about the election thing. Now, I just want to clarify
Sure,
something.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
So there was wages in the election, but you're not showing any costs for those wages, like the FICA and like you did all the other departments. So there'll be something there somewhere that'll have to be added to something?
Yes.
It doesn't have the work and benefit sheet behind this, that's all. I'm sure
Correct,
it'll come up.
because there's a magnitude of different people that make up that
Right,
wage.
right. Okay, I'm good.
But I can very quickly tell you. Okay. For some reason, my calculator doesn't want to come up. Come on, there we go. So it's basically, when you add on the other benefits, the 7.65, it's basically another $2,000 for the FICA, Medicare, and things like that. And then it'd be $270 for the 1%.
Okay.
So those are your other two numbers, $2,065.50 and $270 for the 1% that the state's adding on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, tax collector.
Basically the same as the treasurer, splitting the deputy in half. Comes out to be about the same exact as the treasurer, or just a few dollars difference, but that's basically, with the input, there was just a couple $100 between training and workshops and mileage. The The remainder of it was just the increase in the wages.
Do we have a motion to accept the budget for tax collector?
Motion to accept.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion?
I have a
Well,
quick
okay,
question,
sure.
sorry.
ahead,
The
Sean.
wages, this 30,000 in wages expended, is that for both positions?
Yes.
Okay,
You'll see the 47,714 and then the 12,743. It didn't get separated out, so I just combined those two, and it enters into the 30,118.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting the budget? Okay. Tax collector budget's been approved. Next budget item is for legal.
There we go. Basically, the legal budget hasn't changed. It's the same as last year.
All those in favor of approving the legal budget?
I think you need a
You want to
motion
make
first.
the
Oh, I'm
motion.
sorry. Do we have a motion to accept the legal budget?
I make a motion to accept the legal motion, I mean, the legal budget.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have any discussion? All those in favor of accepting the legal budget, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next item is the Town of Hollis Operation Maintenance Budget.
And you do have a worksheet for that one also. Basically, the only increase right now is going to be the wages that we have. And excuse me, a small increase in internet, $500, $500 in the internet and the wage. And that's your increases.
I'll make a motion to approve operations and maintenance budget.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have any discussion? All those in favor of accepting the operation maintenance budget? Aye. Approved. Next item, highway budget.
Basically, highway budget, it's gone down $200, so it's about the same as last year, with a little difference. I think it's $200 in mowing, but that's, it's gone from $129,300 to $129,100, so it's basically staying the same.
I'll make a motion to approve the highway budget.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? We have a vote to approve the highway department. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Highway budget approved. Paving budget.
Paving budget stays the same.
I'll make a motion to approve the paving budget.
Do we have a second?
Second it.
Any further discussion? Did we spend all the paving money budgeted last year?
We paved Pleasant Hill Road, and that was $46 for the pavement and then a little bit more for the ditching material, so no, it's probably about $40,000 left, I think.
So is that carried over, or is that, I don't see where it's carried forward.
Oh, I thought you were looking at the current year right now.
No, I'm looking at last year.
Well, in the summertime, it's still there until June.
Oh, I see. So he's,
So if we didn't spend this, we didn't. You're
So-
looking at the 73,750 from the prior year.
yeah,
So if I'm reading this right, we've only spent like $8,000 so far? If I'm looking at the year-to-date expended?
Well, we've actually spent more than that.
Oh, okay.
I,
So that's just not updated yet?
right.
Okay.
so the variance of 73,750, that money is allocated, will be spent by June, or?
Oh, that money there, I forgot my other folder. It had the carry forwards on exactly what was gonna happen to it. I believe that was going back to the general fund.
Oh, I see, okay.
You can either carry it forward or send it to the general fund.
So that's why we would be approving the 205,000 for this coming year.
Correct.
Okay. All right, that was my only question. All in favor of approving the budget? Aye. Okay. Animal control.
Okay, basically this has dropped about $12,000. We were gonna go into the contract with Buxton, but that didn't pan out. So basically, we've hired another person recently, and he's doing a call-by-call basis right now. So miscellaneous expenses, I dropped at 13,000 there. And I went up just a little bit on emergency vet services, because you can never tell what's gonna happen with an animal in case we have to do that. So those are the two differences in the budget right now. Is dropping the miscellaneous expenses and adding 1,500 to emergency vet services.
Do we
So-
have a, what is a shelter contract? Do we have a contract?
We have a contract in Westbrook, so that if we pick up dogs, we take them there if we can't find the owner.
So is that a fixed number for the,
Yes,
for the
it's a
year?
contractual, every town, they go by population. And the contract stayed the same between the year before and this year. She said 7,000, they had us at 7,300 the prior year.
Mhm.
But I'm going by what the person told me for the contract, and it was 7,000.
Is this a full-time job or is it a part-time job?
Right now, it's on-call hourly.
So this person would not have any benefits?
No.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept the budget?
I make a
Animal
motion to
control.
accept the animal control budget?
Do we have a second?
I'll
Can I
second.
just add one point, Joe?
Sure.
On this, we actually have a person that we hired, but we do have another backup person now. So in case our ACO's not available, we do have another person that can come in and answer the calls. So around that 26,000, that's actually for two different people. We have an ACO and we have a backup person.
See.
They're both on hourly rates for calls.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I was just wondering, if our year-to-dates we're spending on wages are nowhere near, even 15% of what we're budgeting. Do we
Yeah.
really need to budget this much?
We were in a lull that we didn't have somebody, and then we did get Dave to come on board, and then we just hired another person to actually take the ACO job. That's why we haven't spent that much money.
All right, thanks.
Okay, all those in favor of accepting the animal budget,
All right.
animal control budget? Passes. The next item on the agenda would be for the planning board budget.
The biggest increase that we have in this budget is going to be Southern Maine Planning and Development. Out of all the time that we spent, I did a lot of negotiation in the last 6 months with myself and Mary on Southern Maine Planning and Development, because I kept on questioning costs over all the things that had taken place. So back in last June, I met with Paul, the president, and worked out things, and then Paul left, and they've had a massive change of personnel there. So to spell out exactly what we are going to do with Southern Maine Planning and Development, we ended up going into a contract with them, and for the year it's $25,000, I believe. So that's the biggest increase, is that contract with Southern Maine Planning and Development, but it also spells out in the contract the guidelines on how they are to be used by the planning board, and in the rates and everything that we're going to be charged by them. So
Is that
that's
gonna
the
be
big,
like, is that gonna, can I ask a question?
Sure.
yeah.
So is that gonna be an ongoing expense every year then, or is this just a one-time increase?
I will see most of it. This is what Southern Maine is doing now, is they're writing contracts with each town that they're working with.
Okay.
So that's a clearer understanding of their role in helping the planning board.
Okay.
Does that mean that they'd be available at the planning board meetings?
Yes, we discussed that at length with them prior to this. It can be either by Zoom, if they can't drive all the way up here, or if it is something that the planning board expects that they're gonna need their input, they will notify them and they will attend the planning board meeting.
To have what?
An expectation on what is going to be presented that night, that they're
Mary's gonna address the question.
The problem in the past with the planning board is that we have spent hours debating one word. And so we've asked Southern Maine not to attend those meetings. If they want to have a word debate, it's not going to be at our expense to pay an outside consultant. So they're going to have something specific they want to ask Southern Maine related to planning before they'll attend. And they'll probably be attending by Zoom mostly.
Mhm. Good. Okay, do we have a motion to accept the planning board budget?
Can we have a question, or do you want me to wait till our
Well,
discussion phase?
we can do that in discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve. Move
Second.
forward.
A second.
Second, okay, it's been seconded. Discussion, Dan?
Yeah, about the contract with Southern Maine, do they have on staff legal advice that we might be able to benefit from and not spend money on our own lawyers for all these planning board questions that seem to come up?
Well, most of that goes through our own attorney, because if you go through somebody else's attorney, then, and it ends up in court, I'd rather have our town attorney do it, because if he makes a decision, he's gonna have to defend that decision.
So no legal advice from them? It's just a advisor position, basically?
I don't think it's more legal advice, it's planning advice on shoreline zoning and zoning ordinances and that nature.
So this would cover like when they come in with their maps, so instead of paying them to make up their maps, it would be covered under this contract? Or is
The
it-
mappings are a separate item, yes. And, let's see,
Would Southern,
know
would
it's- there's
Southern
been some-
Maine, would Southern Maine make a recommendation that we would engage our attorney? Would that be something that they might recommend?
if they recommend something, go to our attorney. Like, if we change the zoning ordinance, it comes back, and then it goes to our legal counsel to review to make sure it's proper. And then it comes back to the board.
Okay, I'm
As
fine
far
with that.
as wording and,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm interested in, like, how were we working with them before? Because if you look at the prior year expended, it doesn't even come close to that.
Mm.
And so, I'm just, is that like a fixed price contract? Or is it hourly based, or how, I guess I'm just looking for why such a significant jump there?
and it's basically what you're saying. It is spelled out that it costs us this much per hour, depending on which person does the contact with the planning board. So some cost more, some cost less, but there is a set. It is set.
Shelley, that's a good question, and I would say based on that number, that what we spent last year isn't reflected in that number. So we'll get you that number that we spent with Southern Maine Planning and Development, because the reason that Roger went down to talk to him was we kept spending and spending and spending. So I don't think that number's reflected, but we'll bring it back to you, okay?
Okay.
So Mary, the number that we have expended is, $1,816.
Right.
So you think it's a lot
I think it's a
larger than
lot more, because what we had was we had contracted with them specifically to review and update the zoning and the subdivision regulations, which they did. We were making wonderful progress on that until the Lewiston shooting, and then I don't know what happened, but we didn't make any further progress. So those two entities are still being reviewed by the planning board. So I know that that number isn't reflected there, because I think we had a separate budget or a separate slot of money, but I'll bring that back to you. We'll look at
Okay.
that.
So this would cover all of those things?
Yeah, and it's hourly, it's so much per hour, so I think it's not that we're gonna pay them that up front. It's just that for an hour, some people get $100 an hour, some people get 70, it depends on how much time they spend. So they're working with us with the comprehensive plan also, but that's a separate contract. We're paying, I think, $1,500 more for them to finish the comprehensive plan that was started probably in 2020, 2019.
2017.
See, I aged myself. So we're just trying to get some of those things cleaned up, but the zoning ordinance just didn't get updated because, like I said, they were arguing about words.
Okay.
And that's a lot of the reason why some of the people left Southern Maine Planning.
Okay, well, seeing as you are going to get back to us on that,
so maybe we should hold
it.
yeah, so
Just as
then,
soon as I get that, Joe, I can either email that to the board.
do you want to, well, first we need to vote to, not to accept the budget. Yeah. Or we can table it,
I'll make a motion to table it.
okay? So I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor of tabling this motion to the next meeting? Okay, we'll have two items that are on the table for next meeting.
That's all right. In some of that too, just so the board knows, when I went down in June, when we met with them in October, they wrote it off.
Okay, the next item is code enforcement.
It's the other one. Okay, code enforcement, I have the worksheet for you, which shows you the total cost of the code enforcement office. So basically, most of the increases, again, in wages. There's a few that we changed, dues and members. I was wondering about that, but dues and membership is actually closer to the 3,000 that we put in. And then the only other one is the cost is for iWorks. It's a yearly maintenance cost for the $3,000 under the line item 112. So that's basically, it's the wages.
Roger, under the wages, that is for the code enforcement officer and his assistant.
In the clerk. Yes,
And
it's them combined. We should have another worksheet that has all the numbers on it of the actual cost of that one department.
Yeah, you have on your worksheet. Okay. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the code enforcement budget?
I make a motion to approve the code enforcement budget.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Okay, we move the motion to a vote. All in favor? Budget passes. We don't have anybody here from the public, so I guess there's no public comment unless there's somebody on Zoom. No, okay. The next scheduled meeting, we will have the budget for the fire and rescue, the sports complex, parks and recreation, and and insurances and retirement and FICA and Medicare. And also we'll have the two items that we have tabled in this session.
Right. Fire department is a big budget, Joe, so I singled those out, and I singled out Parks and Rec due to the large budgets.
They are big ones, yeah.
And then the last week would be the 25th. I would have gone with the 11th, but then I remembered we have the town manager meeting on that Tuesday.
So what date do we have for our next meeting?
I'm asking the board for February 4th to do the fire and rescue department, and the pickleball club wants to do a presentation that night. And I will look up all that information that you want on those two that we tabled tonight,
Okay.
if that's acceptable.
So the next meeting will be February 4th at 6 o'clock.
Correct.
As far as the pickleball court, we had somebody last year come to present that. Is there going to be a presentation, Mary, along for that? And we'll have that ahead of time, what they're proposing. All right, if there's any other further business.
Chair? Joe, I had a question about the schedule. On that agenda, we had one on there for the 18th, and that's President's Day week. I'm going to be gone that day. So I know I can't make that meeting. I don't know if we wanted to consider splitting that up into the 4th and the 25th meeting, so we could all be there
If you like, Dan, we can move that to the 25th, so we can go with the 4th and 25th, if that's suitable for the board.
I think we can do that. I don't see why not. So then we'll have a meeting on the 4th, and we'll move the 18th to the 20, that'll be on the 25th as well. Okay. All right, do we have any, Don?
So I don't like to keep beating the same horse all the time, but tonight, these wage and benefit worksheets are very, very helpful, to me anyway.
Mhm.
We approved we didn't approve it, we're going to approve $760,000 just for what you submitted in budgets thus far. When it gets to the fire department, we're probably looking at $1 million for benefits and things like that. That's why I feel so compelled that we need to make it as transparent as possible for the voting public. Somewhere they gotta see that number. They're gonna see it on the 25th in the insurance and main pairs and retirement and all that kind of thing, but somewhere it needs to be shown under the article of the budget or something like that, so that they can understand what their departments are actually costing them, because they don't know that. And that's the thing I've been harping on ever since I've been on this committee, so.
Yeah.
This is really helpful, though. Thank you for that.
And I'm trying to move forward
Yeah, you are.
and satisfy what you're asking so that we can get it as clear as possible for the voting people.
Because $1 million is a lot of money.
Yes, and
So
And it
Don,
doesn't
are
show
you,
up in each individual budget. That's the thing of it, so.
so Don, are
everything-
you asking, so like taking this, I'm just like, just an example. All the positions should be listed here, right? And then all the positions should be listed for benefits. All the positions should be listed for retirement. So it's all on one sheet,
Yeah.
one doc, instead of 8 different sheets. So that's all, I mean,
Well-
are you able to put all the different positions on here?
what he's looking for is
Cost of
cost
department.
of each. So that's why I started breaking it down like that for you, so you could see
Right.
the actual cost of each of,
Right, but didn't you say that you wanted it all on one page?
Well, I think,
but I think what Don wants is on actually your budgetary sheet here.
Like on code enforcement,
Yeah.
you got an additional cost of $160,000 in the
Take-
code enforcement section that doesn't show up anywhere other than on this sheet.
Right.
So when the
Okay.
voting public votes for code enforcement, they don't know they got another $160,000 to add to that.
Right, so instead of having this sheet, you want this information on the budget, individual budget sheets.
Yeah, it would look nice.
Right,
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
think it's $160,000 though, because that includes wages, which
Yeah,
are on
yeah.
there,
I
right?
was gonna say
Right.
that too, Shelley.
Yeah, that worksheet that I gave you shows everything that's
Right.
associated with
right,
that
it's these two
department.
pieces. here,
So the
right.
106 is wages,
Wages plus the taxes and
which are
benefits.
which are in the actual department budget. The wages are, not the benefits.
Right.
Correct. But what I could do, if we improve this, is take this form and put it as your footnotes on that.
well, I
Or,
think,
but Don
I
is
think what, I
saying,
think what we're all saying is that
when,
you have the wages on here already.
Right.
You don't have it always broken down to, you know, the
True.
clerk or and deputy, but you have the wages. But you don't have the burden.
Right.
And I think what we'd like to see, if I'm understanding the board correctly, is they'd like to see a line that would have on your budget sheet for the labor burden of, you know, medical, dental benefits and retirement. 'Cause
Exactly.
so
just
you're
two more
asking for
lines.
another line item.
Correct.
Yeah, 2 more lines.
Just a couple more lines in there that actually shows what I'm showing here.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right, rather than
Right.
approving insurance in a
Separately.
budget and retirement in a budget and FICA in a budget, including it as part of your department budget.
Ah, I see what you're, I see
Right.
what you're getting at now, yes.
Then once we do all the departments, we're done.
Right,
We don't have to go to that February 28th meeting, because
Right.
we've already approved it.
correct.
I see what you're getting at now.
Yeah, and then it's allocated, so that,
Right,
like Don is saying, each department understands what their true budget is, or what their true cost is. Yeah, I think that would be
Thank you,
Certainly-
everybody. for
certainly
pitching in on
helpful if
that.
we could do
got
that.
it.
Well, it's a learning curve, but I'm getting there.
Okay, do we have any other comments? Any other business?
Oh, yes, that was the other
All those in
thing, too.
favor of adjournment?
Yo,
All set?
yep,
Meeting adjourned.
yo.
Thank you.